And we are back. I am your host, DJ Mahlatse, and we are back with another Uber segment. We did promise you the September is going to be an Uber segment month, so we are back with another driver who wishes to remain anonymous, of course, and he's going to tell us everything about the Uber, Bolt, InDrive, and likes of the e-hailing industry. So let's dive into it. Hi, driver. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
How was your drive here?
Yeah, it's a bit hectic because last night I've been driving the whole night, and yeah, I slept in the morning, so
Oh,
I
no.
felt like I'm gonna be late for this interview, but finally I made it now, and
You were so in time. He was
yeah.
10 minutes earlier, guys.
Yeah.
Very 10 minutes earlier. Like, that's very, very amazing. And we are joined by Anonymous Ghost on the background. Hi, Anonymous. How are you doing?
I'm alright, and how are you? It's nice to get the opportunity to talk about what has been happening here in the Uber, in the space.
Yes, definitely. We lose our words as well. I stutter a lot when I'm on camera. And I know my father has a stuttering problem. And I know I took at least 15% of that gene because it just shows up unexpectedly. But anyway, let's dive into it. So can you tell us a bit more about yourself, how long you've been in the Uber industry, or the e-hailing industry? So everybody calls it Uber.
Yeah. It's a good way to use e-hailing, so we don't just refer to Uber alone. E-hailing, we have got a couple of few companies like Bolt, InDrive. There was Didi at some point. I started with InDrive. That was 2020, early 2020. And then a few months after, I decided to join Bolt. And I've been with Bolt since then. I think yesterday one passenger was telling me that I have 13,000 trips. So I've been there for a very long time. When I started, I was doing it part-time as I was full-time employed somewhere. Then after a year or so, I left the job and I continued with e-hailing. I can say it was giving me some good money and freedom as well, because you can log in anytime you want and start working and go offline whenever you feel like, because I'm also one person that like to venture into maybe some small businesses. So when you have these platforms and you're working as a driver, it gives you that time to be able to go and do whatever you want to do. So I've been a driver until late 2023. I decided to do it not full-time like before. So I'm not employed full-time elsewhere, but I kind of like consult, do some freelancing work, and now I sometimes do it I give it half of my time and go and work for some other time because of maybe the income. The income has dropped drastically. So working full time is quite difficult. I can also say that I've noticed with maybe the circle that I'm with, because my friends, most of them are also drivers. They joined me there as a driver, and they also realized that doing it full time, income-wise, is no longer that sustainable. So they are also, one is full-time employed, and some they just having some small businesses, and they keep doing Bolt and Uber whenever they are free or during peak hours, or just to make extra income from it. Yeah.
Wow. So since you're saying that it's not fully financially sustainable like before, how are you managing expenses like fuel, maintenance, and insurance? Is your other jobs or other part-time jobs helping you manage the cost so that you can continue to become an e-hailing driver?
My car is not yet fully paid. I'm still paying an installment. With Bolt money, if I'm working like month end, on the weekend of month end, I can be able to pay the installment. But with the insurance is very expensive. So I ended up canceling it halfway. So now I'm driving, I don't have insurance. And when it comes to maintenance, it's quite hectic because almost all Uber cars have been in an accident before. You will hardly find an Uber car that has never been in an accident because we are driving in night hours and like maybe 8 or sometimes 16 hours. Yesterday, I think I spent maybe 14 hours driving. So chances of me being in an accident are very high. So that's why you'll find Uber and Bolt cars, they kind of like show some dents and marks and to show that they're always being in an accident. So that's one other challenging thing. And when it comes to petrol obviously it's one of the things that you pay first. So it's not negotiable. If you don't have petrol, you're not gonna work. So you're not gonna even see that petrol is giving you a problem because that's the first thing you pay when you want to work. So yes, we're buying petrol. A day I can spend maybe 500. Like yesterday I spent maybe 450 or so on petrol. And it's very expensive because when I started, petrol was like 14 rand per liter. And now it's at about 22 rand. So looking at the difference in the increase on the petrol and also looking at the income from the platforms that in terms of the pricing, you will notice that the pricing is going down and the petrol and other costs are going up. So it's very difficult to manage that as a Bolt driver.
Anonymous?
And in regards to your working hours per day, you said that you worked 14 hours yesterday.
Yes.
What does the e-hailing platforms, what type of kind of like information do they give you in regards to how long you should be working? Do you have drivers that work over the 14 hours? As you said that, by the number of hours that you work, you could potentially, most drivers have been in accidents. How does these platform make sure that you guys work the right hours and make sure that you guys are safe?
So they're putting a cap of 16 hours in every 24-hour cycle. So you need to go and rest 4 hours before you can get an extra 16 hours. So if yesterday I continued and worked for the next 2 hours, I was going to be closed or blocked, and the app was going to count like 4 hours for you to go and refresh, which is not enough, but that's what they have on both apps that are popular. They have got a 4-hour resting period. So yeah, some people, you know what they do, they would, if they have 2 apps, because we have got quite a number of people that have the 2 apps. So if they use 2 apps and they can see that one is left with 4 hours, they switch it off, continue with the other one. And once it has refreshed or that 4 hours has passed, they can open it again and start working. So it's a matter of trying to work as much as you can when the rates or the prices are higher, because you might have noticed that sometimes the prices are higher. As these platforms, they use something called dynamic pricing. So when the demand is very high, the prices goes high. It can goes high up to 3 times the price. I've seen it yesterday in some places. So that's the time you're trying to push and work, because you might not get that opportunity again, maybe in the next 30 days.
Wow, that's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
But now if the driver is has 2 apps, and when the other one is on a time lapse and they're waiting for the time to lapse and they're on another one, isn't that like dangerous? Because now you're driving, you're tired. Don't you put the passenger at risk if you continue doing that? Because now you do have higher chances of actually being in an accident, because most accidents are actually caused by being tired more than alcohol, according
Yes.
to a lot of studies.
Yes.
So isn't that...
It is dangerous, I must say, but I also believe that, when you are a person and you are facing challenges in life, you kind of like take some of the risks that are out there trying to sort out your challenges, It is dangerous. I can assure you. However, most of the accidents on e-hailing cars are not caused by the driver for the e-hailing company. Most of them are caused by other people that are driving, maybe coming from clubs or coming from wherever they're coming from, and maybe they've consumed some alcohol and then they bump those drivers, Uber drivers. So, because most of the time, if you have ever taken a ride with either Uber or Bolt or whatever platform, might have noticed how we drive. We're driving in a very cautious way and all that. So most accidents are not caused by us. I've been bumped several times, but I've never bumped anyone. If you look at my car, you will see the damages are on from the sides and the back. So in front, there's no damage that I've ever caused. So to answer your question, yes, it does put us at risk, but you will hardly find us causing that accident.
That's very interesting. So since you guys work such long hours, how do you stay safe driving at night, especially like at...
We are not safe, honestly, and we are not safe, honestly. What I always say, maybe to new drivers when they join and they ask me this kind of question, I always say, trust your instincts. When you feel like something is not on, maybe about the rider or the place you are going to pick up or drop off, trust that instinct and do something about it. I'm not trying to alert criminals, but what I always do is that I always avoid where I feel like it's dangerous. Maybe the person I'm picking up, because most of the time they set us up by requesting. So when they request with an account that looks new and suspicious, especially on a cash payment from a place where maybe you wouldn't really expect a huge trip like that and all that. So I take precautions and I go there with precautions. If I find maybe two passengers standing at the corner or on the street or at the gate, at the club, and there are two male most especially, I kind of like take precautions. Most of the time I will decline them and then move on to the next one. Because that's a very big sign that you might be picking up criminals. And you might have a problem. I was so lucky and fortunate that since I started, I've been maybe mugged. Few tried maybe to rob me my cell phone, but that was not successful. So I've been safe in the entire maybe 5 years because of those precautions. But I can also say I lost a lot of money trying to move away and run away from people that I'm suspecting they might be criminals.
But also you're saying they've tried a couple of times to mug your phone. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, this other guy, you know what he did? He was a passenger, and when we get to his destination, he asked if I can borrow him my phone so he can call somebody to open the gate. And I was like, something told me like, no, don't give him your phone. Ask him to give you the numbers. You dial them on your phone, put it on loudspeaker, and the number went on voicemail. When immediately it was on voicemail, he opened the door and ran away. So maybe that's how he wanted to run away with my phone.
Wait for it to go to voicemail and then...
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, lucky, maybe he only ran away with my 40 rand, but he didn't run away with my phone. So
was that the only incident?
Some when they're requesting and you go to their spot, they will want to come to the driver's side and ask you to open the window. And if you open the window and their hand can fit in, they can grab your phone and run away. So you must always be careful. And if you're a driver and you go and want to pick up people, most especially in places like Hillbrow, Uville, they're going to take your phone there. The most interesting part
they're going to take it.
Regardless,
you're not coming back with it.
You're not coming back with your phone. You just need to be careful. Either maybe you hide it somewhere they can't see it. And if you see two guys coming to you, or one guy comes and he looks like he's not certain that he's going, those people who come, open the door, wait, look around and all that, just drive off because they are about to take your phone.
Anonymous?
Yeah, no. So security is something that is very important. Um, I just wanted clarification regarding the insurance. You said that initially when you started, you had insurance, but because of the cost of insurance, you then decided to let that go. I just wanted to find out from your experience while you've been working, how much percentage is insurance from your revenue that you get every single month? And right now, with the legislation that requires drivers to have insurance, what are these apps doing to make sure that they rigorously just check whether the driver has insurance? Because it seems like a driver can simply just cancel an insurance while in an agreement. How do they check that? From your side, when you cancelled it, did they notice that the policy is cancelled, or it was just business as usual?
Yeah. At the start, when I started, insurance was a requirement for Uber, and Bolt, yes, was like kind of like needing that insurance, but they were not enforcing it as such. So, and the insurance before, it used to also have something called passenger liability. And later on, they realized that a lot of drivers cancel their insurances and they can't really trace back and forth and find out if the insurances are still valid. It's a lot of admin. You can imagine if every time as a driver you need to confirm that you're still insured with passenger liability and all that. So I think Uber realized that to put themselves safe, and Bolt as well came back, and they kind of like had their own insurance for passenger liability. So they don't really care much about the car. And so if your car is damaged, they're just going to block it until you fix it, and you're going to bring it back to the platform once the car is fixed, and you will prove to them that the car is in a good looking and roadworthy and all that with the DECA and the inspection. Then they can bring it back to the platform. And only if maybe you are reported by the passenger after the incident. But if you were just alone and maybe no one reported you, and then you can fix it at your own pace and bring it back to the platform.
So there's no annual checks for this, where you come in annually and they check your car and they check if it's still fine or anything along the lines?
They do annually, but they mostly do it when you make changes in the account. Let's say you're changing the driver, because some drivers do not have cars, so they are renting. Especially if you are linking a new driver, they might need that inspection to be done or the DECA to be done. But if you are an owner driver, they normally don't do those annual checks and all that. I think they believe maybe an owner driver would look after their car and keep it in a good state and continue working. So they don't do it for everyone like equally as maybe one would expect. Because you can imagine it's a lot of admin. We have, somebody was saying we have, maybe they're estimating about 40,000 drivers on each platform. So in South Africa. So it's a huge kind of admin, I can imagine, to do what we are thinking they were supposed to maybe do. Yeah. So they don't do it the way we maybe think.
And you spoke about passenger insurance.
Yes.
So what is passenger insurance?
Passenger insurance, in case maybe you get into an accident and the passenger dies or get injured, so they can claim from the platform to get compensated for their injuries or death.
So they opt in for that insurance, or is it like the moment you're registered on Uber, you are insured?
Yeah, so you are insured automatically when the trip is on. The moment you book the ride and the driver accepts, you go there, take the ride. When they start the trip, you are insured until they end the trip.
But you are not insured.
They say the driver is also insured, but I don't have proof.
Because you've never been in an accident.
Yeah, or know somebody whom they paid. And, because of the state at which these apps run their business, you will hardly believe what they say to you as a driver. If they say something, you'll hardly believe it. You'll just wait For the time they say, we're paying you, that's when you will know if they're indeed insuring you or not. Yeah.
Wow.
So do you think it's more of transparency from the e-hailing providers, or maybe it's drivers maybe not taking that much effort to read the service agreement? I'm assuming that within an industry like this, the service agreement should outline everything from how, if you're involved in an accident, what are the repercussions that the e-hailing provider should, what's their part to play in that event, how a driver is supposed to conduct themselves. I think for any business, that should be paramount on the service agreement for the driver, because the drivers are they are contractors to the business, right? It's not that they are directly involved as employees of Uber, but they are subcontractors. So that service agreement, when you looked at it, does it outline everything that you want as a driver, or do you feel that there's not a lot of detail being disclosed from these apps?
In terms of details and maybe let me say the contract and all that, these companies are not, they are protecting themselves. They make sure that the paperwork is good. 2 or 3 days back, I've seen Bolt sending me some of the updates in terms of their contract. They're going to send you a very huge document that will need a lawyer to to go through. And even if you are not agreeing with some of the things there, if your app is still on, it means you are agreeing with what they're saying. So these companies make sure that they protect themselves, and they make sure that whether it favors the driver or the passenger, or because sometimes passengers think they are off the hook, the app companies are only punishing the drivers, but they're also protecting themselves against those passengers and everyone. In terms of paperwork, there's no way you're gonna maybe try and act and win something from them. You're not gonna win anything.
Wow.
Yeah, so their paperwork is great, I must say. If maybe you would like to see it, I will send you a very huge document that
That's 100 pages long, and who
yeah,
has
yeah.
time to read
You won't even read it. I didn't
Apparently,
even.
if you put it on ChatGPT, you can get the red flags. You can ask ChatGPT to decipher it, and then you can get the red flags of the contract on there and the loopholes, and then you always know them from an AI report.
Yes, I will try and do that, but I must say, I will still open the app and use it. And opening the app and use it means you agree with those steps. Yeah.
Means you agree with
you are
whatever
agreeing
we
with
sent you.
whatever is there. You can't change it, and it's a one-way street. It's not like you're gonna suggest something and those companies they do work on your favor. They're always gonna look for the best way they can make more money for themselves. They're not gonna think about you or the passenger or anyone else. around it.
And you know, you made that example a couple of weeks ago where someone tried to take your phone and all that. So from you guys as the drivers, what is it that you would like to see in regards to the commuters being verified, knowing that no one can just simply take a SIM card and download the app and request, but just having that extra level of security from your side, from making sure that whoever is coming to be on the ride is someone that is verified. What do you guys see on your side as the driver app? Can you confirm that this person is verified? Do you see a picture of this person? Does the app say this person is verified? What do you see there?
In terms of the security coming from, or the threats coming from the passengers, the company that I would say it's trying their best to verify passengers is this new e-hailing company called Wanatu. Because for each and every passenger registering on the platform, they kind like want to have their banking details, their ID copy, their picture.
ID copy?
Yes, the ID copy and the ID number. and your picture, and they verify you, and they're only gonna confirm once they are happy that you are verified according to their standards. Then you can be able to start requesting. But with the two giants, the green and the black one,
I like how you
they are
call
not
them.
willing to go as far as that, because it also have an shortfall in their way of recruiting new passengers. So if they require more things upfront,
Then I wouldn't want to sign up for it.
yeah, most people wouldn't be able to sign up and join.
Because, for example, if there was a professional, right, who made maybe 200,000 rand a month, and their car just stopped working and they have an important meeting, they wouldn't want to be waiting to be verified while they order a ride because the car is not working. And I can't put my ID number there because I'm making 200 grand a month. So I don't want someone to be seeing my ID number, for example. I think maybe that's the reason why maybe the two giants, giants are not doing it.
Also because of maybe, I think, we have a lot of illegal foreigners in the country. A lot of them are using the platforms, most especially the Bolt platform. So their paperwork would be a big struggle for them to join if they were to follow that kind of procedure. However, on Uber, they are also trying, because they need your banking card before you can start requesting or booking your first ride. They're going to need to link your banking card. And by doing that, they kind of like limiting those people who will just quickly register with the SIM card that they bought from the shop, which is already recard. And because that's what they normally do when they are about to create those apps, most especially on Bolt, and they come and rob you. That's why you'll hear a lot of cases come from the Bolt side, because they don't need that banking card first time you are requesting. Yeah. So
because I remember my post that offended you guys, that I think Bolt is more dangerous than Uber. Maybe that could definitely be the case, because they're not really linking your bank card at first, because it's a way of them verifying who you are, right? If you are going to link a fraudulent bank card, I think that would be tricky, because you need access to the app, the banking app itself, because you need to verify that. So I think that's a way they are verifying their users in an easier way, in a way that doesn't make them feel like, okay, my privacy here, there's too many private documents that they're asking for, because my ID number is very sensitive and all of those kind of things. My ID copy is very sensitive. If this information was hacked into and was used for fraudulent things later, because of course we have cybersecurity issues all over SA. Our banking apps sometimes don't work on the first because of this, a cybersecurity attack, but they just won't tell you. But now if that information is hacked and is used to commit very, very bad crimes out there, or terrible frauds, then I'll be liable, even though Bolt might say, okay, sorry, we lost your information, but I could be trying to clear my name for ages and using a lot of money while I'm trying to sue them for them not protecting my data enough, because cybersecurity will always remain a big issue, because those people who are doing these cyber attacks are always looking for new ways to actually, so I think that's why people are not comfortable in terms of using their private documents like that on certain things like that, because it doesn't make sense. It's not SARS, it's like someone who I don't even know who owns the app, But also moving forward, can we ask, do you guys get tipped a lot? Or is tipping a difficult thing? Because I've also been in a ride and someone's like, please tip me, please rate me 5 stars. What is the importance of that?
The tips also have declined drastically because I think maybe the economy is bad as well. These days to get a tip, especially if you're on Bolt, it's hard. You will even get passengers who will promise you a tip without you asking, but you won't get it. So it's hard, but those tips are very important, when you need to maybe buy some food and water if you need. They're very important. I can say passengers who feel like we delivered the best service and they have maybe a couple of rands, maybe 3 rand, 5 rand or 50 rand, whatever amount they have, I would ask them to give it to that driver that provided them with the best service. I wouldn't say I'm not a mediocrity person who will say just tip wherever you go, because I also go to the garage and sometimes I can sense that this attendant didn't do their work and I won't feel like tipping. But if I feel like they did the work and I have 10 rands or 20 rands or whatever amount, I do give them. So giving us tips is very important. Yeah, guys, you can give us the tips. We
And
really appreciate them.
What about the rating? You know, every time, please rate me 5 stars. Please rate me 5 stars. Does it help anything?
It does help somehow, because on the passenger side, you not rating. They give you. When you open your app and you want to rate, the moment you have to rate, it's on a 0 star, so you have to put 5 stars, right? And if you just continue and conclude that rating and then you put maybe 1 or 2 or so, it puts us back. Like, it's kind of like reflecting kind of bad service. There will be a time where they will be like, your average ratings are low or below the threshold, and maybe you need some coaching. They're gonna do some AI coaching there, and if you are far below that threshold, then they might block you and you will not be able to use the app going forward.
Wow.
So yeah, but if you don't feel like rating 5 stars, you can close the app because it's on that 0 star. It doesn't change anything on the driver's side. If you just exit on that app, and then you will come back and request
rate another time.
Yeah, or rate another time. But if you decide to rate and you feel the service was good, 5 stars is very important, because our ratings has to be at least more than 4 stars. You understand? So if you are rating me 3 stars all the time, then I might get blocked.
That's very unfortunate, hey?
Yeah.
So while we're talking about passengers, can we talk about how have you experienced a passenger requesting a ride that they cannot afford?
Quite a lot of time, because they do that a lot. More especially if you notice that somebody requested for this passenger, they bring them in the car, identify you and the car, and the passenger board in, and the trip option is on a cash. As a driver, I always check if it's on a cash. I make sure that the passenger who's inside the car has got the money enough to pay that trip, because if somebody requested for this passenger, I'm also suspecting that the passenger doesn't have money to pay for it.
So you ask them before.
So I ask them before I leave that spot. Most of the time, in those scenarios, you'll find that they don't have money. Somebody requested for them and put cash option. You were going to find out with the passenger when you get to the destination.
And if they say, okay, I'll pay for the ride, maybe they say, no, the person who requested said they'll pay for the ride. Do they eventually pay in most cases?
If it's a lot of money, for example, 300, 400, even 200, if you are suspecting, more especially for the fact that you are looking at the destination where you're going to drop them, because you can't like scan their demographic. So you're looking at the destination and you're also looking at the pickup point. Maybe you pick them at the club somewhere in Sandton, and they're going somewhere in Diepsloot or somewhere in Tembisa. Then you kind of like suspect that maybe they don't have the money, and then you ask them to pay upfront. Yeah, so that's what I always do.
So what I'm getting is you as the driver you have to use your discretion.
Yes.
The app itself does not have a systematic thing where it could determine, like, for instance, if someone is requesting with a cash trip and that person does not pay, what does those other apps do as remedy to make sure that you get paid for that ride? If you ride from one distance to the next, but then you report that this particular person requested a cash trip and did not pay, does the app reimburse you for that? What do they do? Or it's like they take it that you should have used your discretion, you should have decided that, you know what, this person does not have money or not?
On Uber, they're gonna pay you full amount if you report the passenger, but they're gonna count how many times have you done so. And if you do it often, they will get to a point where they no longer...
Very, very suspicious of you.
Yeah, so maybe you are just reporting passengers that they didn't pay, where else they did pay. Also, they also check the passenger, him or her, if they are always reported for the same thing. So If they are always reported for the same thing, they will block them and request them to pay before they can continue requesting for those cash trips. On Bolt, last time I checked, they would pay maybe once in a week if you report such, but they don't pay full amount, they pay 50%. So you still lose on Bolt if they decide to pay, because they're just going to give you 50% of that. And if you report maybe 2 times in a week, they're not going to pay the second one. So it doesn't really help.
So you can't have 2 incidents in 1 week.
No.
You can't fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yes. So yeah, that's just like how it is. So, and that other side, you just need to always try and make sure that you minimize such losses and incidences. Yeah.
So these passengers that are not paying, is it more women or more men?
Women. I don't want to say this, but men, most men do not use these platforms like very often. Most of the time, even when they use it, they get inside the car, they don't even know how it works and all that. They're just going to ask you how much it is, and you tell them. Sometimes they just pay you up front. They don't even know that procedure and the tricks and all that most of the time. Of course, there are those who knows, but men, they will pay you most of the time. And then women, there are those who will try and get their luck or try not to pay and all that.
Try get their luck.
Yeah, of not paying.
Oh, okay, of not paying.
Yeah,
because
and then
I guess there's another comment that your fellow Uber drivers were leaving us on this comment section saying that some women offer to pay for the trips in other means, like one round because I don't have.
Yeah, but they don't say it like that, eh?
They don't say it like that.
No, they don't say it
How
like
have they
that.
said
They're just gonna come up with some story or do you need some coffee or they're just gonna come up with something to make you take that move as a driver. So if you are professional and you are not up to such things, you won't really fall under those traps. I can say for me, they tried several times, but when I sense that there's such a move from the passenger, and then I just make sure that I stay very professional. I start speaking some English and become very professional so that they don't advance further and do that. And most of the time, they will pay you, and then you go with your money. So those drivers that say they always offer bluntly like that, no, that's. I mean, in my 5 years of experience, maybe I'm not the good driver for. I haven't been offered in that manner that they are saying. I always hear it, when we're parking somewhere, chilling, talking, saying this lady so and so offered me and all that. I haven't had such an obvious kind of offer. No, I haven't had it. But yes, they do make some moves.
And we are assuming you're very professional because you do say you speak some English, right? No offers have been taken up.
No. I don't take up those offers. When I go out to work, like I said, I do work at night, sometimes the whole night. I'm going out with a target, and I must come back with that money, because at the end of the day, if I don't come back with the money, I'm the one that's gonna have a problem. I'm gonna miss on my installments. I'm not gonna pay my kids' transport. I'm not gonna, I have huge responsibility that I have to look after. So if I'm busy going out there, taking such payments, no, it's not.
And they don't pay school fees, eh?
And you know what's the danger? The biggest danger from that, because I'm one person that always like to think ahead. If you take that offer, you might as well as subsidize the offer, because at the end of the day, they might say, do you think I worth 200 for what you did with me? 200 is not enough because the trip was 200. And if now I paid you in this way, it means you owe me maybe 500. And now you have a problem. You're going to have to pay them that 500. Cashback. I don't know if it's a cashback or what.
And it's not just a cashback.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about the money. Remember that now legally you accepted that trip, and that particular female or passenger accepted the trip. So if anything were to happen, from a court of law, they could not even see the pictures, but the mere fact that you guys had an engagement, it shows that something might have happened. You know what I mean? So it's not safe for you to even think about taking that offer, because someone can crowd foul and say that you've done this. You know, I don't want to mention the name here on the podcast, but they could cry foul to say you did this without my will.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so now let's go into the taxi and Uber wars. Hey, you guys are fighting, e-hailing and taxi drivers and fighting. You know, years ago, apparently, there was such a situation that drivers would actually get burned at the airports. The airports where they would experience when you're at an airport and you're trying to pick up or drop off, you get bullied by the taxi people to a point that they would actually do what they did to the 27-year-old Thokozi Zimvelase who died due to this war at Maponya Mall a few weeks ago. So can we talk about that war?
Yeah, that's a very sad kind of issue to talk about, and may Thokozi's soul rest in peace. Yeah, we have serious problems, you know, when with the taxis. I can say taxis versus the Uber and the Bolt or e-hailing as a whole. Yeah, it's a very big concern, and I don't think it's gonna end very soon. And I don't think there's any immediate solution to that kind of problem or a crisis. And yeah, it is affecting everyone. I mean, like passengers, community. You might have seen what the community was saying and doing in Soweto. So yeah, it's a very huge concern. I don't know how it can be solved or rectified, because a couple of times, you know, as drivers, we went to government trying to ask them if they can help, but it seems like they're not so interested in helping.
What do you mean went to the government and tried? Did you write something to them?
A couple of times, you know, I can remember, I don't know if I can mention the name of the minister at the time we started, but yeah, we have been trying to do this.
I was looking for the one that verifies that. Can they mention that house? Or can they mention the name of the minister of the time? Where's Mfanele? Because he can verify if he can or not.
Yeah, but it's not to implicate the minister. I'm just saying it's during his term, that's the time I remember that at the time where maybe Balula was the Minister of Transport, I still remember we used to write a lot of memorandums and trying to make them maybe regulate the platform. They are now trying to come with the act or the bill that will accommodate the e-hailing. But I just think or feel like the process is very slow. For the economy that is running now in South Africa, I feel like the process is too slow to accommodate this kind of maybe change that is coming. And also, you know, from the taxi point of view, they are not so willing to take any change. If maybe the economy is changing towards a certain direction, they are not so willing to take that change.
Have you experienced drama with the taxi drivers?
Yeah, I did, but I work in a certain way that I always try and avoid drama, because most of the time you don't win out of it. Yeah, you don't come out victory out of those dramas. So I always try and avoid it. If I see a request coming very close to the taxi rank or the mall that is maybe prohibited by the taxi associations, I just don't go there.
How do they prohibit it? How does the taxi association prohibit the mall?
They just
put a sign?
No, not a sign as such, but they're just gonna maybe impound cars that goes there to make those pickups, fine them some fees. Yeah, they can do whatever they feel it's good at that moment to rectify
but they can go to Waterfall where a lot of people use Ubers, but they don't get impounded.
Remember that there's bylaws that e-hailing service provider needs to follow. So, for instance, if there's a mall in Sandton, it's up to the e-hailing providers to have a memorandum of understanding with that particular stakeholder within that area. That stakeholder then would give them rules and regulation in terms of drop-off times and all that. It's up to the e-hailing provider to give that information to the drivers, to let the drivers know that in this area, this is the bylaws that you need to follow. But in most cases, with these big e-hailing companies, what happens is that they have these memorandum of understanding, but without the drivers knowing. And the drivers pick up at probably the places where the agreement is that the taxi industry are picking up, and that becomes a problem in most cases. I know that with you as a e-hailing drivers, even the taxi association would tell you that some malls you can't pick up at all. You can't pick up, you can only drop off. So that's the agreement that they have sometimes with the mall.
The mall itself.
The malls, yeah.
I thought I was not hearing you properly.
Yeah, they
remember some of the taxi bosses, they do have shares in these companies.
In the malls.
So, so if
Yes.
yeah, so if there's a mall, most especially in townships, where they feel like they kind of like have more power over everyone, they are going to do things the way they feel like it's more suitable for them. And the malls also might not have kind of power to oppose what they're saying. And also looking at maybe the type of traffic or consumers or people going towards the mall, if their Uber clients or Bolt clients are still way lower than the normal taxi commuters, it's going to be very difficult for the drivers or Uber or e-hailing drivers to have that upper hand and try and enforce or force that working at that particular area, because the taxis will be dominant, in that area. So yeah, it's either maybe they own or they have shares in that property in terms of the taxi bosses, or maybe they just go and impose themselves, or maybe the malls have realized that most of their customers are not even these platforms. Because we will, backlash the taxi bosses and every now and then. But also these e-hailing companies, they're not doing
anything
much to make sure that they can work at the place where maybe they are prohibited to work. Because I can tell you, if these companies can invest some money in the security and they go and have an agreement with the mall, because some malls, they do have an agreement in writing, but you will still not pick up there, despite the agreement being there in place. But if there was a security, like for example, I can give you Mall of Africa, you can go and pick up at Mall of Africa in any spot, like anywhere you feel it's safer, as long as it's not that inside the taxi rank, even at the entrance or somewhere you feel like it's good, it's a good parking space where you can pick up, and no taxi owner or driver or whatever will try to do something on you, because the security is very tight at that area.
Okay.
So I feel like the security part, the e-hailing companies are also not doing the most that I would expect them to do to protect the drivers from operating at such places.
Also, just one question before we close, because we are out of time.
Oh, okay.
Will it be helpful if these e-hailing platforms would actually afford you guys the option to type if this place is a red spot, like if it's if it's like a no pickup zone, for example, so that you guys can stay safe in the meantime until the government suggests what's happening? Because if you've seen incidents and you know that I don't pick up in certain places in Tembisa, you can inform other drivers, because unfortunately Mtogosi was killed 2 days on the job and he did not know what was happening, because he was 2 days into the job, he was learning the job, and he was trying to provide for his sick mother. So do you think if the platforms afforded you that that opportunity for you guys to actually write or like report a place as a a red spot. Would that help you guys?
They do kind like highlight some of the spaces, but they will still not block you from accessing a trip coming from that area.
Okay.
Yeah, most areas they will still not block you, but few other areas they did highlight. Even as a passenger, you can't just request from that point. They kind of like demarcate and put a red line to show passengers that you can request from this spot. But passengers are very smart. They always try and get at the closest spot to that area and then request. And yeah, because they feel that they have a choice to choose whatever transport they feel comfortable with, and then they will go and request, and you go there not knowing that at that area actually you are not really wanted. On the driver's sides, we always list areas where we have a very huge list. I must show you. Yeah, I think it's maybe almost 20 places in Gauteng where you can just go and pick up as you wish. Yeah, so we know if you have been in the platform for some time, but for a new driver that wouldn't maybe know, it's a challenge. But I will also suggest that if you're a new driver planning to join, just find somebody next to you or not far from you who will take you through those steps. Because I do have someone who recently joined, and they always ask me, if there's a mall they're not so sure about, they do always ask me, can I enter in this mall? Some malls you can enter, but you pick up only at a certain spot. You can't just go and pick up anywhere. So I will always tell them, look for the entrance, maybe entrance 1. Don't listen to the customer, because the customer will go closer to the taxis and they realize the taxi is not there, and then they request. So that's sometimes a challenge when it comes to that. But the companies, they're not so interested in blocking us from not accepting operating in certain areas. They're not so interested, because for them they still take a chance, and some drivers go and pick up and they still get their money. So they are driven by profit more than safety and all other things.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us, driver. We really, really appreciate you. This was a very, very insightful interview, and we hope our listeners are actually listening and benefiting from this. This is not a war with the taxi people. We are just literally raising awareness, talking about it, giving them a platform. As you can see, guys, you've made them so uncomfortable that they can't be on camera. So yeah, definitely thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. And Ghost Anonymous, also thank you for joining us as well. And guys, please don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Set Podcast 1. And please do not forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.